This month we're going to go out and about around the harbour, meeting some of the volunteers and finding out all the things that they do to help us at the Conservancy. In the 1980s, Philip Couchman and Andy Potier started work parties directly arranged by the Conservancy, and the sorts of things that they did was coppicing, litter picking, tree planting, and also shingle recharge on a bird roost called States Islands to help the little terns.
The very first volunteer, of course, was Joan Edam, who was the voluntary warden for the Nutbourne Marshes Nature Reserve. And she, with Anne Griffiths, with a group of friends, we would come once or twice a year to shovel shingle to build up the shingle bank where the little terns used to nest.
The nature reserves, of course, need wardens, and Joan volunteered to become the warden of the Nutbourne Marshes local nature reserve. Entirely voluntarily, she wasn't ever paid, and she enjoyed doing the work that was involved, which was bird counts in the winter of the waders and the wildfowl, and in the summer of the nesting birds, gulls and terns out on the island, and also things like litter clearance and putting up the notices to tell people about what to do and what not to do, and yes, it became a very successful voluntary career.
In the early days, the environment had very little money. The precept was tiny, and very little of it came towards the environment. So if we wanted to do anything, we had to do it ourselves or with friends, because there were no such things then as volunteer organisations. But that soon changed as more and more people who loved the harbour became aware of it and aware of its needs. I think the most important development in volunteering in Chichester Harbour was the formation of the Friends of Chichester Harbour. This was a group which has become hugely successful and influential in the life of the harbour. But in the early days, we didn't just want people who would plant trees or help repair footpaths or pick up litter. We wanted their enthusiasm, their knowledge, their ideas, and their support for the work of the Conservancy. And I think that has truly come to fruition now, because they are a major funding partner and they provide a great deal of external expertise to the Conservancy.
The volunteering started in 2005 when I took the dog across Fishbourne Meadows and found a little group working on repairing the boardwalk, and been involved with the working parties on a weekly basis, the volunteer ranger scheme, and also got clobbered for the Harbour Watch at Cobner. And since taking on those roles, got involved with the Friends of Chichester Harbour, a charity that supports the Conservancy and the work that it does right around Chichester Harbour, and I've ended up as secretary of that charity. The benefits of volunteering operate at a number of levels. You look around here, you get to work in some superb locations. It's also very sociable. You work as part of a team, and we've got a good bunch of girls and guys from a variety of backgrounds, and they're actually good fun to be with. But equally, there's immense satisfaction out of completing tasks and looking at the harbour as time goes on, where you can see footpaths that you've repaired, you can see hedgerows that you've planted, and for example down in Fishbourne Meadows, many years of graft getting rid of hemlock so that it gives the southern marsh orchid a chance. And the last count was absolutely phenomenal, and it rewards the working parties and all the volunteers that get involved.
Hi, I'm John.
I'm Jenny.
And we're doing a wetland bird survey.
It means that once a month at high tide, on a certain day, we come out here and we count the wetland birds that we can see. And those are the birds that are coming into roost when the tide drives them off of some of the sandbars that they'd normally be eating on.
Our sector on the wetland bird survey stretches from Langston Bridge, which is behind me, and continues all the way down to the fields adjacent to St. Peter and Paul Church.
The great thing is that when we're doing this, at the same time, all around the country, there are people doing webs on other stretches of the coast. And so that gives a real-time picture of just how many birds are in the area during that month at any given moment.
We started webs counting for the RSPB at Pulborough Brooks. At the time, the warden there was Pete Hughes. He now works for the Conservancy as the Conservancy's ecologist. So we contacted him and said, we'd like to help you out.
We've been webs counting on Hayling Island now for about 3 years, and we took over from someone who needed to retire, and we've really enjoyed it. Sometimes we're out here when it's raining, when it's cold, but you know, it's always interesting and always fun.
I carried on the counts, and obviously a lot more people came into the counts, and all aspects, all areas of the harbour were covered. So I was able to specialise on one, which was, of course, Fishbourne Channel. Nice and easy one to get to. So I did that for about 50 years. Lovely place.
Hello, my name is John Arnott, and I'm just one of many volunteers with Chichester Harbour Conservancy. In fact, we've just been finishing a wildflower walk for the public here at the northeast end of Hayling Island, a place called North Common. A place which has a wonderful array of wildflowers and an amazing meadow with orchids and, as I say, a range of other wild plants as well as grasses. So true wildlife wonderland. My whole working life has been spent teaching students who are wanting to change career, many of them, or develop a career as countryside rangers or wardens. And my role in that was to teach them a little bit about ecology and habitats and how we manage areas for wildlife. And so I started to volunteer for the Conservancy, leading walks to look at birds or butterflies or dragonflies or wildflowers, or just general wildlife walks. And then of course we've got the boat trips on solar heritage, so we would go out and look at winter birds, or during the summer go and visit the seals over at the far west end of Chichester Harbour. So I really do enjoy meeting people and taking them out to see wildlife, facing up to wildlife, eyeball to eyeball. There's nothing like that for experiencing nature. So I do get a lot out of that. It's not just meeting people, but many people that come on these walks are fairly new to these subjects, and they may know a bit and they just want to find out more. And so what I get out of it is that joy of discovering maybe species I've seen lots of times before, but actually seeing them through the eyes of people who are themselves seeing them for the first time. And that excitement definitely rubs off on me. So that's one of the big things I get out of the volunteering that I do for the Conservancy.
With us today we have Pat, who is one of the education volunteers. She helps with the school field visits. So when a class come to us in the harbour, she helps our teacher and also the class teacher and helpers with helping the children getting the most out of their experience. So it's been such a good thing that we've had a lovely group of volunteers running Oyster Boat Terror. And Chris, can you tell us a little bit about why you took on the role?
Well, back in 2015 I had fairly recently retired. I've been involved in the sailing world with yachts all around the world for the past 25-30 years. So I had a bit of time on my hands, and I was given the opportunity to volunteer, and with a little bit of persuasion I took it on, and it's been a great joy to be able to help people, to get them on the water and to look after this wonderful 1895 Oyster Boat Terror, which we dearly love.
Since I started at the Conservancy almost 7 years ago, I was amazed straight away at just how strong the volunteering support is at Chichester Harbour, particularly compared to other protected landscapes that we've got in England. A report published a couple of years ago actually put a value on the volunteering across the country of £40 million per year, which is the collective contribution of volunteers dedicating over 500,000 days of volunteer work, helping us to look after the countryside. And I certainly think Chichester Harbour Conservancy and our team of volunteers play our part in contributing towards that fantastic figure.